Food writer and restaurant critic Gabby Peyton is out with her debut book called Where We Ate. It is a love letter to 150 Canadian restaurants from pre-Confederation era to present day. It unpacks the history of iconic restaurants, their philosophies, the people who left their mark on the way that our country eats today. So let's learn more about the book from the author herself. Gabby, welcome to the show. I gotta tell you, this book, I walked into our story meeting, I'm like, did you know, did you know, did you know? And I'd only perused it like for moments because you've got so many great facts in here. First off, I love how you organized it chronologically, right? You take us through each of the decades, you kind of theme them out for us. It highlights political changes in our country, the influence immigration has. Why did you think of putting it together that way?
Well, as I started doing the research, that was really kind of what started showing up was all those different waves of immigration, and that really changed how we ate. Initially, like, way back before Confederation, people were really eating for utility. So they kind of just were eating because they needed to, they worked downtown, they needed a lunch counter. But then as, different immigration waves, different socio-political changes happened, people started eating out for fun, and the dining changed.
Women started working.
Exactly, women started working in the department stores, all those beautiful restaurants that are in there. So really it was kind of doing it that way. I wanted to have it chronological so that I could choose 10 restaurants for each decade to show what was going on in that decade.
Yeah, and I love, you hit food courts, where they came from. You hit the buffet bar, sort of the origins of that. These are all great stories that are in here. There's a lot of eateries, too, that I figured out that started out between the 20s and the 80s, and they're still open today. Schwartz's in Montreal, Mary Brown's in St. John's, and of course, the Beaver Tails in Ottawa. What were some of the surprising revelations for you in this book?
Well, I think for me, there are 85 restaurants that are still open. So I thought that was really great because now you can use it as kind of a guidebook. You can go across Canada, eating out. The biggest revelation, I think, for me was how much Greek immigrants contributed to our dining scene.
Interesting.
They invented the donair, Hawaiian pizza. Boston Pizza was founded by a Greek immigrant.
I did not know that.
And the Fat Boy Burger in Winnipeg is also by a set of brothers. They have like this big contribution to our dining scene that kind of goes unnoticed, I think.
This is why I love this book. I love to eat, and I love stories, and I love people's stories, and you combine them both brilliantly in here.
Thank you.
The key theme that sort of stands out while reading the book is what you just mentioned, and that is the influence of immigration here in Canada, not just on our, on our visual landscape, but on what we eat as well. I love those couple of examples that you give. Why do you think that Greek culture became so dominant?
Well, I think it's really interesting because chain migration, I think, especially with the Greek population, was really important. So I read a great interview in the Vancouver Sun that talked about, a set of brothers who opened up a pizza chain. And it basically was, oh, I moved here, my brother had a pizza shop, so I just did it too. And that really seems to be kind of the Canadian dream when it comes to restaurants. People immigrate here, they need to make ends meet, and then they open up a restaurant to feed people. And they adapt a lot of their own cuisine from the country they came from and to create new ones, like ginger beef in Calgary.
Oh, and you have the recipe for that ginger beef. Do you know that I crave that ginger beef from Calgary, and I was so thrilled when I found the recipe in this book. Lastly, you also touch on the lack of Indigenous restaurants up until the year 2010. What happened then that changed things?
Well, I think, there were so many racist and bigoted business practices that existed that had all these barriers for Indigenous and First Nations restaurants. And I think as we have evolved and as we are moving forward, I think they have been able to, showcase their own cuisine and have been uplifted by the community in a different way than they would have been in the past. So it's really great to see, and I hope that there's going to be more.
Yeah, and I love that you list them here in the book, so if you're interested to try, you can do that. I also love learning that the first food court was at Sherway Gardens Mall.
I know, right?
If you've watched Mean Girls, you've seen this mall. Anyway, I want to do a little test because I've got your knowledge here, and I want to use it. I want you to tell me where you ate and the best sort of grab-and-go things. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. First of all, best grab-and-go sandwich.
Okay, that's hard. Can I say a taco as a sandwich? Because I think Tacofino food truck in Tofino is like a great place to go grab a taco.
All right, best all-day breakfast.
Ardmore Tea Room in Halifax.
Okay. Best Indigenous food. Feast
Cafe and Bistro in Winnipeg.
Best banh mi.
TT Vietnamese in Calgary.
When you're really going across the country, what about dumplings?
Mother's Dumpling in Toronto. They're not in the book, but they're my favorite dumplings.
Mother's, okay. And best Indian food?
Vidges in Vancouver.
Yes, that is 4-star for sure. And Korean food?
Korean Village here in Toronto.
Gabby, this has been great. Where We Ate is the name of the book. Thanks for coming on to talk about it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.